Welcome to the Vision Seed Podcast, where we gather in the dark beneath the soil within the luminous void from which all creation blooms. Without our sense of sight, we explore the alchemy of the creative process through intimate conversations with artists and visionaries. Together, we embrace the mystery and infinite potential of the unknown. This is a space to honor the whisper of inspiration and the dance within the blackness that births creative magic. Let's journey into the void. In this episode, I'm joined by the incredibly dynamic Anne Wasserman. Anne is an interdisciplinary artist in the truest sense of the word. And when she's not hard at work on her tea business, Bhakti, she's sculpting, painting, drawing, weaving, knitting, crocheting, the list goes on. In this episode, we dive deep into our long-term dreams, the winding paths of creativity, our shared love of singing, and of course, lots of laughter. So we do journey in ascending order through the chakras, starting at the root to the crown in our conversation. And before we do that, though, we do a quick experience with the third eye, with the agya, with envisioning a sensation or area in the body, just to get us dropped into awareness of our internal experience rather than our external sensorial sight-based experience, let's say. So, before we begin, I'll first ask you to sense into the body as it is now and locate, allow the awareness to gently embrace the area of most sensation in the body, not judging whether that sensation is pleasant or unpleasant immediately. And then with curiosity, extending awareness to that location in the body and asking if it would mind sharing with you any words, colors, forms, textures.
Yeah, I think the most gross sensation is drawing my attention, and it's on the left side of my back. A little bit of a knot there, but that knot is manifesting some anxiety, some fear. I see maybe like a 12-year-old girl, young, not so young, kind of curled over in fear. It is enlightening because I have been feeling this sort of potent sense of anxiety, and I think it is helpful to tune into that specific point and see this rather like dramatic manifestation of this young woman in such pain and such fear. So that's what's happening on my back.
Does she need anything from us?
That's a good question. Let's see.
Ask her.
She needed to be seen. She's so much happier and calmer already. Just really, really to be seen, to be heard, to be asked, do you need anything? She's like, okay, I'm a little more at ease, like I'm seen, I'm supported, there's someone looking at me, caring for me.
Two of us.
Two of us,
and we love her. And we love her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Hardly have a knot anymore.
How about that? I can already feel that this is going to be a laughter-rich episode. I'm here with Annie, and Annie and I have been living together for the last, 2.5 or 3 months in Portland. And Annie and I met 2 or 3 years ago at the Bhakti Center in Portland, Oregon, when it still existed, and kind of bonded and created our friendship over like a shared love of art and kirtan and cooking and
creation.
It's just been creation, for sure. It's just been a beautiful journey ever since.
And to frame it more of like of this evening, before this, Quincee and I said, okay, we're starting the podcast promptly at 8:30 and 8:45. And Quincee says, that'll probably be 9. I say, no, it's going to be 8:45. Fast forward to us at 8:58 lying on my bed watching YouTube trailers. So now it's well past 9 probably, and here we are.
Oh my gosh. I do it for the art.
I do it for the art.
So let's gather up all of this lovely bubbling vitality, attention, and offer it up to the root chakra and the redness of that, and feeling that really extend down through the legs into the earth below. And so when we spend time in the root chakra, when it comes to our creative path, there are many questions that I would love to explore. I think the one specifically I would like to frame to you right now is just what right now feels like your home base in your creative practice.
I would say my home base in my creative practice is sculpting, which feels almost a little strange to say, and I'll explain why. It's a funny thing because I still consider myself very much learning to sculpt, learning with clay. I feel like I have a long way to go, and I don't really even necessarily like so much think of myself distinctly as like a sculptor or a ceramicist, but it feels like my home base, and everything's kind of oriented around that. Like my other artistic practices are kind of all in order to get better at sculpting, which sometimes, it doesn't even feel real to me, and I don't quite know how to explain that. For example, I'm taking a painting class, which I rarely attend, and I have like crochet projects and basket weaving projects and all these projects that I love to do, or even now figure modeling a little bit, and even my yoga asana practice or meditation practice, but it feels like somehow it's gonna all come back to sculpting and creating beautiful human forms out of clay. And at this moment that doesn't quite feel real because it feels not quite there. It feels kind of like a lofty ideal almost. So I certainly judge it a little, but it does feel like home.
The way I was kind of picturing it as you spoke here with my eyes closed, and of course we're in the dark, so I have no option but to kind of visualize, but sculpting kind of being the like center of the flower, and there are like so many petals extending and branching off of that come back and loop around to support the center or to hold in the center, which is your sculpting practice right now. So whether the petal is yoga asana or sketching or painting or making tea or all of the many other basket weaving, crocheting things that hold in the center of a really passionate sculpting journey, which you're very much in the middle of, as you named.
It's just a funny, I guess what the reason I take pause a little bit is it's kind of funny, because normally you call something home, maybe that's like the primary place you reside, and I don't think right now I reside primarily in sculpting. It's like I don't spend the most time on it compared to my other endeavors, so I want it to be my home, but I think maybe it's right now more, the house needs a little more work put into it. It needs a little interior design done, maybe another addition or something. It's a home being built still, maybe.
It's being renovated.
It's being renovated, yeah.
I think it's funny because that also kind of calls to mind the fact that we've been nonstop kind of sending out these rockets of desire and these dreams to have a farmhouse in Italy in the countryside and create some sort of epic art home. So one day, I think that this is maybe foreboding.
I hope we can listen back to this exact moment where, it's recorded, and we'd be like, oh my God, what power in the mighty creation of this life. We can. Yeah. That'd be super cool.
Yeah. I love that we've gone so far as to envision like the handmade tiles in the bathroom and the meditation cushion inside of a giant sculpted hand and many other little details.
Yeah.
It's pretty precious.
It is.
Yeah. And I think it's specifically, I delight in speaking in this energy center with you just because sharing a home has been such a potent experience, and I think has really like allowed us both to really deepen in our creative endeavors. And at least personally I can speak to that. I feel like I've had a new level of like foundation from which to really drop in to creativity. So anyway, just appreciating that.
Turn the table a little on to, I have a question about that. And yeah, in what way has that been fostered with us? Is it because, is there an accountability factor? Is there an inspiration factor? Is there a comparative factor?
Yeah.
I'm curious about that.
I'm curious. Just the man behind the curtain. No, I'm just kidding. So I think that a sense of foundation and safety has been created in my creative practice, in our friendship, and in this house specifically, because there's really just an energy of creativity that exists around you. And also just in this space, it feels like it's kind of green lighted. Let's use that phrase. Like, it doesn't seem like the barrier between just normal existence and a really creative life is that high. So it feels very natural to just be in this house and like stop at the piano and play, you know, a few chords, or make up a little song, or it feels very natural to write pages in the living room, or feels very natural to just sort of create an inventive meal. And I think that that's both an energy and also like maybe a practical feature of the space. But I think specifically in our friendship, I feel like there's a new foundation for creativity, because that's the level that we've always connected on. Like we've always recognized each other as like a fellow artist. And so in that way, I feel like there's a really nice sense of container, that's always something that we can return to speaking about or relate upon. So it just feels, yeah, like solid ground to me.
That's awesome. I hadn't really thought through either of those things, but I wholeheartedly agree. Yeah, well said, Quincee. One thing I would also add is like I think we are helping each other with certain blockages, be that A, from supporting each other in like doing our morning pages and finding our own blockages, to like having a tender and loving enough relationship, yet honest enough that we can bring up like rather tough things that we are either judging in ourselves, judging in each other, afraid, scared, things like this we were able to bring up to each other. And I find kind of like hard, vulnerable things, you know, and not necessarily sweet things, but it seems we've been able to very much meet them with sweetness, and that's been really lovely, and I hope to continue that.
Me as well. And I think just to provide like an anecdotal example of what that's looked like in the past week, like I think it was Saturday, I was pretty feverishly painting. I spent 6 hours at the easel that day finishing up a painting that I was like really, really gung-ho on getting into this figurative art show, because I don't really do figurative art very often. I'm more in the abstract realm or non-representational realm, and I was working super hard on this painting all day, and I said something, Annie was like, I don't remember exactly how it came up, but I was like, I'm going to put it in the show and I'm going to sell it. And Annie was like, how much are you going to sell it for? And I said, $450. And Annie goes, whoa. and in that moment, like, all of these, like hurt artist parts just, like, cried, like, yelped out in pain. And like, so many, like, insecurities came up around, like, pricing my work. And am I asking too much? Am I not asking enough? And I just felt like, and we still haven't completely like processed that moment together as much, but I felt like such a sense of safety to tell Annie like that was hard for me to receive, and also Annie felt like a sense of safety with me in order to say and give her genuine reaction rather than, you know, maybe fakely be like, oh yeah, that's great. Like she was really honest with her reaction towards my price point, and it was a good processing point for us around like, how do we price our work and how do we value our work?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And it helped me, and I respect you so much, so it helped me kind of think about the subject more and think about money and the energy of money, and talk to my friend Claudia and other people about art and pricing art and just being a little more open-minded to other ways. And so it's really, it's super helpful.
Yeah, and I thank you for that moment too, because I think it has motivated me this week even to begin looking into the energy of money a little bit more, and thinking about the way that I interact with it and the way that I value myself, and how money is kind of just a symbol of that, and how it's more of an energy than it is an
object.
And it's not an object, it's an energy, and just getting more and more curious about my relationships to that. So
I think another component of this was, I think we're both learning and getting better at taking our art and creation seriously, and that means, you know, saying, hey, no, I can't do this, I'm working, which is I'm painting, maybe I'm sculpting, and seeing that as legitimate. And I think there was a little bit of like a disturbance in me when we were going to go do this thing, because he's like, oh no, I'm really passionate about this painting, I'm going to work on this painting. And I think a part of me is like, what do you mean you're going to work on the painting? You know, it's like, we're going to this other thing, like you're working on this painting. And so I think it's an interesting point for me to like process with others and in myself. It's like, no, like it's totally valid and serious, and art can be serious if you take it seriously, if you say, I am spending this time to work on this art, you know? So I think that was another point in this little anecdote.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, that pops us up a little bit more into like solar plexus territory of like committing to having let's say, a creative identity, and identifying enough with your creativity or with your practice that you are unafraid to set explicit boundaries and expectations around the time spent doing it, and like really kind of carving that out and utilizing your willpower to like make the space for something that matters to you.
Nice transition.
But we haven't talked about the sacral. I'm curious, at least right now, what brings you the most gratification or pleasure or satisfaction right now, creatively? Even if it's just like a sensation or a gesture of your creativity.
The greatest gratification or satisfaction right now is when I say or know that I am going to spend time creating, be it sculpting, painting, drawing, crafting, and then actually doing it. That builds trust in myself, and it just feels so good when I actually just do it and give it the time, because of course I have other things to do in my life and other obligations and commitments. So I really like, it feels so good, and I admire and I love in myself when I spend the time to do it and to just get taken away and in flow.
What process right now feels fluid?
Really, any medium where there is form being created. So the other day, I'm a baby painter, but I was playing with paints, and I just got so into flow, creating this form of a body, or when I sculpt a form coming out of the clay, or even putting little trinkets onto jackets. It just something coming out of nothing. It amazes me, and unfocused. But it's like it's a miracle to me to make little lines, little changes, little color swatches, and then a form appears. It's so amazing to me. Or in sculpting, right, a little line here, a dash here, an angle here, and there's a form, and it can get so just in flow with it, just the little details, and you take a step back and whoa, there's something there, and it's so cool to me.
Out of seemingly nowhere.
Yeah,
I love that, and I think it's of course very apropos for the situation we find ourselves in right now, and we are sitting in what we might consider to just be a dark room, like there's nothing really happening, but through the vibration of our words we carve out a story, and we carve out a connection, and we carve out a creation, we carve out joy and playfulness. And I think that's so special too, that these vibrations also will ripple out and become form eventually.
How poetic.
I hope. But I think I want to give people a sense of the breadth of your creative practice while we're in the sacral. Like, you cast so many seeds out into the world. So at least from what I witnessed, Annie will wake up in the morning, write a morning page. If she's not jetting off to a painting class or a sculpture class, she's down in the kitchen. Annie is a beverage artist, and she will be in the kitchen creating, testing recipes, and then you're maybe going up and painting some more, and then writing or reading. Or at least in this moment, I'm sitting in front of a rack that has several jackets that have all of these beautiful sort of trinkets affixed to them in really inventive and fun ways that I just think are so cool. But you live a truly creative life, and I really admire that you're not afraid to cast out a lot of different lines in order to see which one ends up snagging the muse. You're very very diverse in the mediums that you explore. And I think that that's something that I would really, if anyone is listening to this, I would really encourage, if you're an artist who goes really deep into one medium. I think that there's such a high value in exploring a breadth of medium so that you can harvest insight and experience and bemusement from those mediums and carry them back towards your center.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I had a small moment of this yesterday. I was painting, and again, bear in mind I am a baby painter. This is maybe my third painting in my life, okay? But I felt I was so in the zone. I loved it, but I felt so grateful to have a break, and my break was to go and make some jasmine syrup for my tea stand, and that felt so nice because it's a bit of a creative process in itself, but very practical, and facilitates my financial income. So yeah, that was super nice to kind of have that as a break. And I remember washing a dish in the sink and being like, wow, this is so nice to have the two. I would never want to be painting all day. How would I? That was so nice. And yeah.
And that rhythm really does support both processes. It's amazing that your work can feel like a break from your art, and your art can feel like a break from your work.
100%.
I think this is something that also Rick Rubin talks about in The Creative Act. it is sometimes so incredible the way that an artist's day job will end up being like their primary source of source material, and that there are aspects of our kind of seemingly mundane day-to-day life that actually end up deeply, deeply supporting the things that we create. And yeah, I love that you're so aware of that in your life. And you've created conditions for yourself in your life where those two things can feel like respite from one another.
Totally. And again, this is in my aware, ideal state. It's certainly not always, just to put that out there.
Yeah, this is when you're feeling poetic.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is when my awareness is at its peak. And
yeah. Let's journey up to the solar plexus and a radiant yellow. And so we're in the space between the ribs. And this is the area of the body that we're often associating with the sun energy or the yang energy, the themes of energy and willpower and identity. I guess I want to hear a little bit about, in a very open-ended way, like how you came to identify yourself as an artist, and what was the process of claiming that like for you? And when did you know that was your identity?
Yeah, that's a fun question. I think I'll go back to when I am in my 3rd or 4th year of university. I took a break. I was studying sociology, philosophy, religion, and I started to take some classes at a local community college in LA, and I started taking just any class I wanted to take. I had little fear. I took a jewelry making class, I took a rock carving class, I took a clay class, I took an acting class, I took a dance class, all these things that I had I'll say always wanted to do, but I think that was very much hidden from me. So I had so much fun. It was one of the best years of my life. And in my memory, well, yeah, I started to uncover this part of myself that I really had not given time whatsoever for 10 years. And yeah, it was such a joy, and I kind of just, I learned about myself. I really liked the acting class, and the clay class, it stuck, and I signed up for a figure sculpting class even then, but at that point I was a little too afraid and a little too, I don't know how, I'm not good enough, so that I dropped as well. But the seeds were there even then. I knew the interest is within one's heart, and it's okay if it takes a while to, unfold. But it's interesting for me to even look back then, or I think even in 5th grade, I was taking a little face drawing class, and I remember that. It's in my head. Yeah, that's where it started, and I think just unfolding from there, just the more I did it, the more I identified with it. I think I felt more credible saying I'm an artist, or believing in myself that I'm an artist, when I'm actually doing the thing, which I think makes sense, even to this day. Sometimes I feel skeptical calling myself a sculptor, because in my mind I should be spending much more time on it to call myself such, but yeah.
I'm just thinking about
Please.
Just a conversation that's, come up a couple times for us in like the last week or so, because you just recently went on vacation, and I think, had this kind of step away from your normal creative routine of sculpting, and all of these existential questions came up, like, am I allowed to call myself an artist or a painter or a sculptor when I step away and go on vacation for a week? Like, it's like, how much time do I need to be spending in order to claim this identity? And there's a lot of questions around that. But there's a really beautiful gem here that I want to highlight. I'm going to point to an interrelationality between the first three energy centers here.
Okay.
Because you had the support in the form of like root chakra, stability, safety, container, in order to really explore your interest and your joy and your creativity by going to all of these art classes, a very like sacral exploration of what was delighting you and where your curiosity was leading you. Feeling supported on those two levels allowed you to come into understanding what your identity was. So it's interesting to me how those three support one another. Like feeling safe, getting experimental and exploratory, and then excavating the gem of one's power and identity from that space.
Totally. It is interesting. And it's also interesting, a little more, I think, backstory is needed, because in order to have this quite blessed year of artistic exploration, and even my life now, but we'll refer to that first year, it came from a place of turmoil and a place of kind of hard, firm choice. It came from me sort of firmly saying, I am leaving university right now. And my mom was not happy about that. But I was very firm on that. And I needed a change, and I was not happy. And so that, it's kind of funny to see how it unfolded. I was in such like a sad, dark place, and somehow, just being like, something has to change. And I didn't even know, I don't think I could even have imagined going to community college and taking art classes. I honestly didn't, but there was some firmness, some dark firmness in me that kind of brought this new opportunity. I honestly can't believe my mom did that, and I'm very, very grateful for it. And it back then I would think it not something she would do or allow, but she did, partially through my sadness and hard times, and partially through my firmness of like, something has to change.
Do you think some part of you knew what you were seeking in that experience?
I think so. I think I knew I had become much too heady. I think at that point I was perhaps pursuing a degree in philosophy, and my mind was so confused, inundated with all sorts of ideas. And I think I kind of knew, I need something with my hands. I need something practical. I need something real. I need to be kind of making something, doing something.
I'm grateful to your mom for endorsing and supporting that exploration. And I hope that, I hope that now she can look back and reflect upon that as a worthwhile pursuit to have supported.
Totally. I think it's one of those things, it's like I have to believe in myself the most, and I kind of, in a way, am proving it to my mom. It's like I think it's a slow build. If I sell a sculpture for $1,000, the faith will be there. And the community college class, I think that's probably, it cost no more than that for sure,
paid for
itself.
Let's float upwards a little bit more. Come into the verdant and alive space of the heart. In this moment, my cheeks are just sore from smiling so much. Like, you are someone who naturally exudes heart-centered, compassionate wisdom, and this feels like a very natural space to explore and speak with you. Just when I think about people who have a clear sense of devotion within their lives, you are definitely exemplary. And the way that we met, is through singing kirtan, which is like a very devotional practice of creating music just for the divine and offering that back up.
The heart, divinity. Well, first of all, thank you for seeing me so beautifully and so highly. I think that's actually quite a beautiful skill you have with other people. You see them in such beautiful light. It's amazing and it's beautiful, and I'm so grateful for that. You think so highly of me, perhaps more than I think of myself, but I'll roll with it for this.
Thank you.
Yeah, really, thank you. You see,
it serves me well until it doesn't.
Like an angel.
An angel. Oh, ouch. This one has a thorn. Yeah,
no, I think it's beautiful. The divine. So yeah, I'll start with kirtan. Kirtan's a practice of call and response, singing, and I think that's quite a beautiful creative process in and of itself, to create songs and let it flow out. And I think that's the key here, is letting it flow out. That kind of leads me to, I'm thinking about meditation and mantra meditation and sort of focusing the mind. And I've found it's actually quite difficult for me to try and perhaps imagine the face of a certain god, or think of a certain concept while I meditate, or chant a certain name as I meditate. I can tell my mind is still there, and I know it's meant to sort of focus the mind, but it kind of pulls me out. Again, it pulls me out of my heart. It pulls me out of the presence to try and concentrate and focus the mind. And this is all to segue. I am finding and noticing sometimes when I have a very specific, stern idea of what I'm going to create, I cannot get into flow. My mind is thinking of a concept. It is so improperly focused. It is focused, but it is not. I'm not present. I can't get into flow, and I really am learning and working and to be in that flow state. And I think that really comes from not thinking and not intentionally trying to focus my mind, which might seem counter to some people, and it seems counter to me sometimes. It seems like, well, it makes sense that one should focus their mind to meditate on a certain thing, or focus their mind to do this specific part of the painting, or if you have an intention of a sculpture I'm creating, I should create that sculpture. But the beauty and the magic happens when you move here and there. You move to the arm, to the leg, you cut off the arms, you move the arms to the back, you change the pose, and then that's the flow. Like the intention, that focus point, the mantra is gone.
Yeah, the way that I guess think about this is like the heart is an unstoried space. It's like unbounded and unconditional. And so many of the focus points, we get kind of wrapped up into them. Again, I'm seeing this image of the flower in the center of the flower. And in kirtan, at least, when we focus the mind on a mantra, it's like the center of the flower, and it kind of holds one important piece in place so that all of the other energies of creation can kind of swirl around or dance around or be released around that fixed point of the center. So in kirtan, it's like we're repeating the mantra, but then inhibitions can really let go. And the sense of separate self can really let go by virtue of us kind of affixing our attention upon an object. And in meditation too, if we fix our attention on the object of the breath, the hope is that is helpful in us allowing other things to dissolve or fall away. And I think too in your creative flow state that you were naming, like having just the right level of focus, but focus in the right place, like in the space of the heart, so that you can allow the process to just unfold and be a clear space for that unfolding.
I mean, I think I'm still trying to figure it out in myself. I guess we'll use the example of clay. Like the clay itself is the mantra in this example. It is the object of focus, and then one can flow with that. Right there's that object of focus, and you see what comes out of that. I think what I was trying to say is the issue becomes sometimes when maybe you have a mantra like Om Namah Shivaya, and maybe the mind becomes too focused on thinking like, okay, let me imagine what Shiva looks like. What does Shiva look like? Is that what Shiva looks like? I'm not quite sure. Am I pronouncing the words right? And it's like this is superfluous. This is not helpful.
Maybe the way I'm interpreting this is that our connection to the divine isn't necessarily a process of adding more focus and adding more layers of detail and adding more mantras or adding more noise, but it's actually the opposite. It's kind of like getting to the point where you can drop all of those things.
Yeah.
And that's, of course, I mean, that's the goal of meditation and the goal of creation, but I think that it's really important for us to, at least along the way, have something that we can rest attention on, or having those seemingly like superfluous elements that we can use as a scaffolding for a busy mind until we're ready to kind of release into flow. They're necessary pointers towards where we're heading, maybe.
Okay, but I do want to say a couple more things
Please.
About the divine. I was saying using the word heart a lot, but I kind of will shift to the word the divine. I mean, in a way, I think those words for me are a bit interchangeable, and I think a part of me does believe or think that like it's part of my life here on earth. It's part of like what the divine is saying to me are the things I'm trying to do in my life. And I like to think, and I hope, I guess I'm still gaining faith on that is like carrying out the divine will. We're reading the Artist's Way, and I think that's a big part of it. Is our acts of creation are acts of the divine. It is part of the divine will, and I want to believe that, and I think at moments I do believe that.
If I may point to just a really just anatomical support for that argument or that way of believing, when we look at like the development of a fetus in utero, it's so incredible that the heart is the first thing to develop, and then off of the heart shoots the arms and the hands. And so we have this really tangible anatomical or physiological connection between heart and hands. And so if you believe the heart to be almost synonymous with the divine, and you consider your hands to be just an extension of that heart, and therefore an extension of the divine, then it's quite, it's structurally easy to see that the things which you create are directly from your seat of divinity.
Is that true?
Who knows? I mean, look, this is something that I heard once and chose to believe because it made me feel really good. Rung as truth inside of me. And thus
it is. If not in the physical realm, in the heart realm, it is true.
Oh.
It is true. That's kind of a funny thing too. Today someone was telling me something that I had like a fear reaction to, and I said, and I want to believe, and I do believe, but I want to believe, oh, I have such a fear reaction to this. This is not true. And like, I kind of believe that if something creates so much like fear or disgust, I think there is a portion of that. It's like, oh, maybe this is not true. In like a very like philosophical, spiritual realm of things.
The system knows. The system knows that which is not correct. The intuition's more powerful than we think, or than we often give it credit.
I think so.
Let's continue our journey upward and spend a little bit of time in the throat, in the blue of the throat. And when we're in the throat, we're exploring questions around that which you want to say with what you're creating, what you want to communicate. But I also think that this is a really nice opportunity to discuss what you listen to. What is it that you want to say with what you're creating?
Funnily enough, I feel such a pull to the green still, to the heart. The heart saying, we're not done.
Really?
Done. Yeah, but
let's honor that. What's going on down there?
Well, I think this is a great question. I think that's perhaps a perfect segue to the blue. I think I want to say that really want to be heart focused, heart centered in what I do. I think we read a line in the Artist's Way that I'm recalling of we are showing up, we're producing the quantity, and God will provide for the quality. And I like that, and I think about it in the sense that I'm gonna show up with like trust in my heart and love in my heart, and show up on time and put in the time to making, creating in clarity, hopefully, and trust that beautiful things will be made, and perhaps over time, perhaps ugly things will be made, and then beautiful things will be made. But yeah, I really that's mostly what I want to say, and how I want to create. And it is a little woo-woo and idealistic perhaps, and a little vague perhaps.
I love that your conversation, let's say, is one with the divine, and what you're trying to say through your art is simply, I'm here and I'm ready.
Yeah, yes.
And devotion.
Totally.
That's it.
Totally.
It's a very simple conversation. And I think that's, I mean, to be honest with you, that's truly blessed, because I think it's quite common for creative folks or artists to get really wrapped up in the message of what they're creating, or that being a very complex message. And there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Totally.
It's amazing to use our art as a vehicle for complex expression and depth and excavation and activism and meaning. But it's also a really beautiful and simple experience to allow that dialogue to just be between you and the divine, and your message to just be,
totally,
I'm here, I'm listening, and like, please show me how.
Totally. And I think that the specificity of the subject like can be in discussion with the heart and with the divine as well. Like, yeah, sometimes it may just be me showing up and seeing what comes out and putting in the time, but other times maybe it's like, oh, I want to explore the subject in myself of, for example, skin picking. That's been like such a tumultuous thing in my life, and then showing up with that, you know, sort of deep thing in me, and then seeing how that manifests into art. So it's like, yeah, it's like a subject of the divine and to this sort of therapeutic subject into that. So I don't know. I think it's still, so perhaps it'll arise in more specific concepts, which will then take shape into form at points. But yeah, I think for right now in my current life, I think it really is just kind of still building just the showing up and not judging. And I think, again, a perfect example of the painting the other day, I'm just really on it because, like, again, the third painting, I'm truly learning to paint. Like, we really must say that. And so it's like,
no one's going to look up your painting portfolio.
No one's gonna, well, they can't.
Unless, of course.
It doesn't exist. They can't find anything. Like, but it was so lovely because I was just like painting, flowing, and of course I had a few moments where I was like, fuck, this is fucking ugly, like, what am I doing? Like, this is awful, you know? But it's like, but I also could see, like, wow, I'm learning this, I'm seeing this, I'm learning so much, seeing the color here, seeing the shape here, and like, and then just having the mindset, oh, I can always come back and keep learning, and like, I'm just so happy to be showing up. So I think that's still just the phase I'm at, is just, I'm happy to be showing up and learning and seeing what comes out, and perhaps more refined subjects will come. Maybe they won't. Who knows?
Oh, so awesome.
Thanks for your hype. You're a good hype woman.
Oh, yeah, of course. Well, there was something that I wanted to reflect back to you about what you said. You kind of touched upon, like, what you listen to for the impulse. For example, when you were speaking about, like, the skin picking being, like, a really challenging piece of your psychological landscape some years ago, not so much anymore, but the way that you listened to that and then decided to alchemize that through your process of creativity, and then put it in conversation with the divine. So in a way, you're kind of scanning through your experience and picking up things that might be challenging or rough around the edges, smoothing them out, and then sending them heavenward in a way.
Totally.
Putting them in conversation with the divine and just kind of asking to be shown how to alchemize them through the channel of your process.
Yeah. And again, I think that is a rare circumstance for me to have that, like, intentionality. I think I mostly just, again, right now go in just to show up. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think we've been talking a little bit recently about Ramana Maharshi and, like, self-inquiry, and I think it's a facet of self-inquiry. Like in the skin picking example, it's this part of me that has at points loomed so large and I thought was such like a big part of me, but then to kind of spend some time with it, shine some light on it over various projects. I was writing this little book about skin picking. I made a sculpture of skin picking. I made another sculpture. I think just shining the light on it kind of is helping it go away. It's kind of saying, oh, this is not me, you know, this is...
We can heal something through illuminating it in our art. Mm-hmm. And I think that is, of course, kind of a key and foundational assumption of the field of art therapy, which I'm so excited to learn more about. That we can bring our struggles and our depths and our pains and our sufferings into the process of creativity, and within that space untangle or unfurl or release something.
I think for me personally, I'm just noticing, I think through like singing and making songs, I often, the alchemy in making songs, but perhaps not as much in other facets of my life, sculpting per se, or so often. So I don't know, it's kind of interesting, and I'm curious how that might shift, or if certain art forms just forever are more peaceful mediums versus more emotional mediums, and more mediums where I process more. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, we didn't even really enter into exploration of the more just practical use of your throat as a liberatory and expressive vehicle.
Totally, I love singing.
You know what I'm doing?
What?
I'm making this gesture with my thumb and pointer finger and middle finger together. I'm tapping on my third eye center. This is indigo. And so here we are. I'm just tapping on the space between my eyes. This is not what I normally do, but right here, I just want to give you space to dream about the things that you want to create in your life. This can be like a totally just like fun list of random things.
Fun. Let's play. We'll see imagine how it feels. Let's imagine. So to my left, I have the building arena. So I would love to build a home, maybe a tiny home, maybe a home, and perhaps I could use some help on these ones, as I have zero building skills. But I love beautiful spaces. I love bright, airy, sunny spaces, high ceilings, beautiful colors, beautiful plants, beautiful tchotchkes and trinkets, traveling tea cart or art cart, and the beautiful home, of course, can include the home in Italy.
Okay. For context, the other night I was figure modeling. I was taking a break, and Annie asked what I was meditating about during the pose, and I said, I was meditating about the pelvis sculpture that's going to be in the entryway of our Italian home.
I was like, oh, love it! Quincee said she was going to meditate on money. So I was like, what did you discover about money? And she's like, and I loved this. She's like, you're going to be rich. You're going to be rich, and we're going to have a foundry near us, and we're going to have cast all these giant sculptures at the foundry. And I'm like, okay, sure, I'm game. Great. I love that. I really do love that. I was like, I love that confidence. I would like to write a book at some time, not like a so wordy book, a book with a lot of pictures, like a cookbook, or right now the idea is of all the beverages I make, a beverage cookbook. I would love to record an album, a kirtan album, big sculptures. I've always loved going to the Rodin Sculpture Garden, but I just think it's so cool to make a life-size human or a larger than life human in a pose that you might not see a human often, a very dynamic or active pose. Even bigger than that, I've always loved really big sculptures that maybe you walk in, or if it's little kids sometimes climb on, or even bigger than that kids can't even climb on it. And I think there's something so, I guess, human to just kind of make your mark in a physically big way. That's why we often like really tall buildings. We're like, wow, that's so tall, I think a large art piece or statue can kind of bring that same feeling, that same sentiment. I think I do have a dream to be good at two-dimensional art to some degree, because certain ideas I have don't maybe translate so well to the third dimension. I also do have I think a shorter term dream of having a cafe, a community space, beautiful cafe, things hanging on the walls, plants hanging. It's bright, there's delicious food, delicious drink, peaceful atmosphere. Yeah, so here are all these dreams, and I don't know what will be pursued and what will happen, and hold on to that paradox of like, I want to do all these things and be active in my life, and also simultaneously like be so content to have none of it, you know, to do these things, because that's like my calling perhaps, or because it is to be done. But I don't know, just like want that pervading peace around it all, with it all. And
the joy is not in the completion of the act. The joy is the feeling. If it's uplifting your spirit in any way, then in some ways it's fulfilling its purpose. Even if it's just you're dreaming about it. Your body doesn't know the difference. Your body feels the joy of it being done. So this is something that they talk about. If you ever listen to Esther Hicks or Joe Dispenza, this is the law of manifestation. Your body doesn't know the difference between something happening 20 years in the future or happening right now. Like, if you are feeling the emotion of it unfolding, then like that's as good as it unfolding.
Kind of what I'm noticing is the only one that I think that I felt something mostly was the pervading peace, this just like sense of calm, this bluish purplish, like, okay, everything's calm. I could kind of like sense that a little bit. And I think for the giant sculpture, I had a little bit of like excitement of like seeing that. But so anyway, I just want to say the cafe, it feels close and in a nice way. I'm not like super excited or I'm nervous. No, I'm kind of just like, okay, this is gonna happen eventually. And of course there's perhaps a little fear. I don't know exactly how it's gonna happen, and of course there's money worry and things like this, but overall I'm kind of like, this is gonna happen. It's just a matter of when and where.
Okay, so as we enter into our final wheel of energy, I'm gonna place my fingers through my hair and just kind of gather up energy to the scalp, coming into the crown. This is violet. A really esoteric kind of question. Where does the energy of creation come from?
I always liked the image of maybe a black circle or a black void, and it's cracked open, and there's light inside peeking out. What I'm going to say next might not seem to relate to this image, but somehow it's connected to me. But I've always liked the saying that we're all here, and for me the energy of creation comes from God trying to see himself, if we're using gendered phrases. Those little peaks of light coming out. But yeah, I love the idea that this world, this universe, this earth, me, you, Fig, the dog, we're all here to show God what it is, what he is, what we are. So simultaneously, that energy of creation is God learning himself, just as much as it is us as part of God enacting every aspect and facet that there is to be enacted in all possible realities. So yeah, the act of creation is God knowing himself. And I know thyself, be thyself, love thyself, because I think that helps God know himself. Yeah.
It is a beautiful conclusion. I love the way that the image that I'm getting is that when we dropped into this space, we opened a container, and then that question and its response really just kind of sealed it with a bow, and a tender bow at that, to the mystery. So, thank you, Annie. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you, Quincee.
That's
You've been
that.
such a lovely host.
You're so welcome. Fun to laugh.
Yahoo! Good job.
Thank you for journeying with me into the fertile void on the Vision Seed podcast. As we emerge from this space, it's my hope that the whisper of inspiration may take root and aid you in your creative path. If this episode resonated with you, I invite you to share it, leave a review, and follow along with us on social media. Until next time, keep dancing in the dark and cultivating the seeds of your creative vision. Bye-bye.